G'day humans, Chris Stead from finder.com.au here, and today I'm reviewing the Hyundai IONIQ, the all-electric vehicle. Now this is the premium model that you can see before you, and it goes for about $58,655. So it's definitely in the higher range there for the Hyundai brand. Indeed, it's a lot more than the i30 and the Kona, and it's even more than the base models of the Tuscan and the Santa Fe. But I guess that's the price you got to pay to being nice to the planet, right? So I'm going to take this for a test drive and walk you through the pros and cons of this vehicle and whether or not it's right for you. Okay, so a quick rundown of the features. Now, as I mentioned, this is the premium model. There is an elite model, which is about $4,500 cheaper, but that doesn't change anything on the outside of the car and all the raw features. Now you're looking at a 100 kilowatt electric engine in there, which has about 295 Newton meters of torque. So that's pretty comparable to what you might see with the i30 or the Kona. A bit less power, but a bit more torque. Now it's got a 38.3 kilowatt hour battery in there, lithium ion battery, and that'll get you around 300 kilometers. It says about 311 when I first jumped into it and fully charged. It said to me about high 200s. Now that's from Sydney, you can almost get to Newcastle and back on that, so it's not too bad. You can fast charge it in about 55 to 58 minutes. That's one of the service stations with power. If you're plugging into your power point at home, you can expect about 6 hours 15 minutes to recharge it to full battery, so overnight there. You've got the torsion beam suspension system in this, which is not the best option that Hyundai offers across its range. And you've got the single speed reduction gear system in here as well, which I talk about a bit more when I talk about performance, but it actually goes really well. All the Hyundai Smart Sense features, safety features are available in this, and inside most of the bells and whistles you'd expect in the mid-tier to high-range Hyundai models. So let's talk about the design of the car a little bit, at least on the outside anyway. It's a hatch, but it's kind of elongated as you can see, so it's kind of got a sedan-y feel as well. I actually really quite like the look of it. You got the 16-inch alloy wheels, you got the LED lights on the front and the back. The grille's obviously different to what you'd expect from a normal car because it's electric. So it actually has a really sexy profile in my opinion. I actually quite like it. And I'll show you a bit of the space on the inside here. Now, I don't know if you can tell through that, but I'm quite a big human, about 100 kilograms and over 190 centimeters, 192 centimeters. So I don't fit into a lot of cars. Now, I just fit in here. So that's not untypical of, or it's pretty typical of most cars. I only just fit in, even in my Toyota Kluger, which I drive, I only just fit in. So my head's kind of touching the top. I can feel it, but it's not enough to be distracting. So that's on a lower seat setting, obviously. But other than that, there's plenty of space around here. Great vision out all the windows. I can see clearly wherever I'm looking. So space-wise, I can fit in here. In the back, I'm no chance, but I'm normally no chance, especially with any roof that has, any car that has this kind of descending roof like this. I generally don't fit in the back. Now, obviously be mindful that I've got this all the way back so I can fit in and drive, but you know, my head's way on the roof, I could never sit in the back here. But you can see on the other side here where the passenger seat's forward, there's more space, leg room. But head-wise, people my size can't fit in the back, which probably doesn't matter because you're not likely to have humans in the back my size all the time. But if you're tending to do some Uber driving, something like that, it's something to consider. In the boot, we've got about 430 litres of capacity, I believe. Look, it's a functional space, but because you've got the sloping back, it is a bit restrictive. It is a hatch, obviously, and these do fold down, giving it about, I think it whops up to about 1,200 litres or maybe 1,400 litres of space once it's down like this, but it doesn't actually go fully flat down those back seats, so that's something to keep in consideration as well. But you know, pretty typical boot here, and the electric cable, come and have a look at this, goes in the back here. That's a bit of a pain, storage space in my opinion. You've got to fold this up correctly every single time, which to make this go flat, and you've got to make sure that's empty till you have to lift it up and get your power cable out. I guess for most commuting though, your power cable will just be sitting at your house. That's just mostly if you're going to do some long drives. Okay, have a look at the front. And you know, if you're used to seeing inside modern cars with modern petrol engine cars, or definitely hybrids, these things are generally packed. Now you could dead set hide a family of possums in here. There's so much space. And I guess that's a bit of a thing to think about with this car that you may not have thought of previously. But if you've seen the Volvo Concept Recharge demonstration of how they've redeveloped the car to make use of the fact that there's far less space with an electric engine, then you will be wondering why they haven't done more with the design here to make use of that extra space. For example, they could have made the cabin bigger and packed this all in a bit tighter. But you know, overall, it's a good size hatch. All right, so car's on right now, if you can believe it. You wouldn't be able to hear anything because it's an all-electric car. So I'm just going to take you through a little bit of the interior of the car here while we have a bit of a cruise. Now, this is the premium model, as I pointed out, so it's got leather accented seats. In my opinion, for a $58,000 car, it's actually a bit stark, a bit hard. Everything's a bit rough to the touch and unforgiving. I would have expected a bit more of a luxury feel for a car in this price range. Now, the premium model does come with a bunch of pretty cool perks. As you can see, there's buttons everywhere. There's buttons everywhere in this car. I don't even know how you'd memorize them all, to be honest. But over here, you've got preset seating for 2 different people. So that's cool if you got to switch over between, say, your wife and yourself, or your husband, wherever you are. So that allows you to seat just automatically go into spots where you like it. I really like that feature. Down here, you've got a charging station. So like wireless charging, so you just dump your phone there and it starts charging automatically, which I thought is a really nice touch. I can't believe how useful that's become so quickly. You get the sunroof in the premium version as well. Look, I would have preferred a moonroof or the big ones that they have nowadays, but you know, better than nothing. And you've got front seat heating and a few little bits and pieces like that, some carbon style trim over there and sporty pedals. So you get all that in the premium version. My argument would be that when you're buying this electric vehicle, if you're trying to do the right thing by the planet, why have 2 models? Like I think they should just have provided it all, especially because for a Hyundai price range, this is right up there. I think they should have just had the one model, the premium model, and it all should have been there. It should have been closer to that 54,000 mark that the Elite's at, rather than trying to upscale you on it. That's my personal feelings on it. In terms of the infotainment unit, you got a 10.25 inch screen here. The built-in nav I quite like. A bit of detailed information here. The actual 7-inch dashboard screen is not particularly spectacular. I've seen a lot better than this. It just gives you the basic information, that's about all. A bit more information available on here. You've got digital radio built in, which is handy. CarPlay and Android Auto. I found no problems at all connecting the phone and using the phone, listening to Spotify and so forth. All worked to please. There's 8 speakers in the car and it sounds pretty good. Much better than I thought it was going to sound. So they've done a good job there, at least with the sound and the beats and the bass. You need good bass, but the aircon's a little bit, leaves a little bit wanting. There's no dual zone air conditioning control. You can just have it just on the driver's side, but you can't just have 2 zones, which is a bit, you know, 2021, it's a bit, and a premium car, I think that's a bit of a letdown really. What I don't like about the infotainment unit is that there's no actual physical buttons. It's all push button stuff, and you know, I find that quite annoying. I prefer to be able to physically know that I've touched something and it's actually being pressed. In regards to performance though, and this is where I think that the IONIQ really shines, is that it really does give a fair bit of zip. When you push the pedal down, you really go. That's what I was worried about in an all-electric car. I was worried that I really was going to lack some of that guts that I kind of love the way I drive. I'm a bit of I like to thrash my cars, I'll be honest. So this does have the power and zip that you would be happy to have if you're doing your daily commutes and so forth. There are 4 drive modes, an Eco Plus, an Eco, a Normal and a Sport, and they offer tangible differences. So when you switch between those, there's a button down here, you know, you really do feel it, more so in the acceleration than you do just like barreling up a hill. But you definitely do notice a difference. And I'm surprised by how much I was happy to just sit on Eco. for most of my driving. It's only really when I've kind of got out into the middle of nowhere, which I've hit the sporty mode and just had a bit of a thrash. But yeah, so the drive modes do work well. And the last thing I want to touch on is the harvesting system. So when you have it on Eco in particular, but on all the modes, you've got paddles up here, you can switch between the various power saving modes. It harvests when you brake, obviously, but it does this in a real automatic way. So when you come up to a set of traffic lights, which I'm not going to find on this road, I'm sorry, but if you come up a set of traffic lights, you just take your foot off the pedal and the car will basically brake to a stop for you. And when I first jumped in the car, I was like, geez, that's aggressive. I don't know if I'm going to like that. And I reckon within 10 minutes, I was like, wow, I really like this feature. So it's almost like you're clutch braking. That's what it feels like. But it's really just harvesting power. And as I was testing out the different modes, took it to the car to a big hill near where I live, and I just kept doing loops, trying out on the different drive modes. I found that I was burning a battery of power going up the hill, and I was earning a battery of power coming down, like 1% battery coming down. So I'd be interested to see how far you can extend that beyond the 300 Ks that you can get off a charge. Although I guess on a highway, you're not really going to be doing much of that braking and much of that harvesting. But yeah, the way that it kind of breaks you into each stopping moment and grabs a bit of extra power back is really quite cool. The torsion beam suspension, I'm less enthused about. The car does have a bit of roll when you're kind of throwing it around. Like, you really have to be zipping around to notice it, but you know, I did notice it. And if you're going at speed and you hit a bump, you do quite feel that bump through the car as well. So that is one potential letdown there. But overall, and performance-wise, and I guess that's where the car really counts, I've been really impressed by the Hyundai IONIQ. So one thing I forgot to mention was the single speed reduction gear system they've got in here. And if you look down here at the dash, that's your, I guess, the new version of the gear stick. So this has got this mouse thing that just hits here. You've just got reverse, drive and park. It's quite funky. It's definitely a different way to drive. And everything's single speed. So when you're driving, there's no transition between any gears. It just speeds up and slows down. And you know, the traditionalist in me thought, oh gosh, that's not going to be that great, but it actually works seamlessly. You just notice no transition whatsoever as you speed up through the engine. I think at this price range, Hyundai could have been a little more inclusive with its features and with the luxury feel in the inside. But the car works where it counts. The performance is really zippy. It feels really great to drive. The electric engine performs admirably, and I had a lot of fun driving this car. I think if you're looking for a commuter hatch, then this is definitely worth checking out for a test drive, especially if you just never want to see a petrol pump again. This is Chris Stead from fire.com.au. This is my review of the Hyundai IONIQ. You can jump on the website to check out the full review and also to have a look at all the latest car reviews they've got and to compare your car options, your car insurance options and everything you need around a vehicle. This is Chris Stead, signing out.